Happy Devils Monday. This is the Woo Report. The Woo Report, episode 435, titled The Losing Has Been Ruff. Yes, R-U-F-F. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Beautiful night tonight. The calm before the storm as the Devils head to the West Coast for a West Coast swing. Lots of negativity in the media today with NJ.com, Ryan Novozinski, good friend of the podcast. Basically, the headlines, fire Lindy. Just fire Lindy. James Nichols, also a good friend of the podcast, New Jersey Hockey Now, one of my favorites. Talking about Fitzy. Where is Fitzy? So a lot of, I would just say the mood right now is a little somber amongst Devils fans after the loss against the Tampa Bay Lightning at home. A very good Tampa Bay Lightning team with Kucherov ripping the league apart. Devils no different. Has over 100 points this season with 20-plus games remaining for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And suddenly, Devils fans have gone berserk. That we need this therapy session. We need this negativity. We really need this negativity to go away. Because negativity breeds negativity. And I'm an optimistic Devils fan, but I'm also realistic. The expectations coming into this season was extraordinarily high. After what happened last season, when the Devils broke records with this young nucleus, this young team, with the signing, well, first the trade of Timo Meier, which I believe happened about a year ago today. Timo Meier, what do you think about the trade 1 year later? Also, the trade for Toffoli, giving up Sharon Govich in the offseason. High expectations. Jack Hughes, 99-point season last year. Really high expectations for Jack Hughes, and he started the season great before he got hurt. Ramona says, I'm okay with the trade, Sam. John Sumner says, I love the Timo trade. He'll be fine for us. And we'll get to Timo Meier in just a bit. But I feel that all the finger pointing to Lindy has to stop. What Devils fans are frustrated or should direct their frustrations at, these are the growing pains of a young defense that we were expecting. But what we weren't expecting were the amount of injuries on the defense, specifically Dougie Hamilton, who I foolishly undervalued his presence because his 6'5", 6'6" frame, his ability on the power play, his offensive abilities are now really missed right now. And I'm not making excuses for the team, but the reality is we're feeling the growing pains. Damon Severson, Ryan Graves, whether they're having good or bad seasons with their respective teams, regardless, you lose 1/3 of your blue line and essentially replacing them with the promise of the future, which is now Luke Hughes and Simon Nemitz. You're going to have to deal with those pains. But here's the good news. The Devils, it's not like they're 25 points out of a last wild card spot. We're talking about a dozen points or so right now. You can easily catch up with the help of the Flyers and the Lightning in 1 week. You can catch up in 1 week. The team is pissed off from all reports. And a couple of my sources were saying the team is pissed off, and rightfully so. But the lack of emotion sometimes we see on the ice kind of bothers you as a fan, because as fans, we are passionate. We want at least Lindy to throw a garbage can out on the ice or something like that. But this team must come together in the next couple weeks, or this season is done. Over. Done with. And the losing has been rough. No pun intended, or was there a pun in there? I don't know. But this Metropolitan Division, we expected it to be competitive, and the Devils are right in the thick of things. Forget about the New York Rangers. Okay, forget about them and their success. They went on a 10-game here. Let them peak now, because come playoff time, let's see what they can do. That's where it really counts. I'm not worried about the regular season except for getting into the playoffs. And I said this last night on the Let's Go Devils podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern edition, that the Devils, as of last night, had the same amount of wins as the Florida Panthers this time last season. Florida Panthers have an amazing season, then struggled when they changed coaches. They went from Quenneville to interim head coach Andrew Burnett, then settling on Paul Maurice. Did you see the Florida Panthers firing Paul Maurice in the middle of the season? No. A lot of Devils fans want Lindy fired. Ryan Novozinski wants Lindy fired. Or at least the headline says so. And NJ.com putting that clickbait out there. Fire Lindy, fire Lindy. That's going to be the answer to all of our prayers. But it's not. Unless Lindy does something really, really, really stupid, where it just is so unorthodox and so non-hockey, I don't know. He's going to stay to the end of the season before the Devils reevaluate. That's what I'm predicting. But what the Devils do from here till then, Lindy will always be on the hot seat, especially when the expectations were so high. But they need to come together. And John from JCP Architectural, who supplies supplies tickets every once in a while with the season tickets as giveaways through the Let's Go Devils podcasts. Said something that, you know what? He heard about my comments about the whole Nathan Bastian hit. And I still can't get over it. That Jonas Siegenthaler, who is not a fighter, at least he tried. That was the response from the team. Just one player swarming that New York Rangers who's trying to make a name for himself as a rookie, a recent call-up, Rempe. Instead, the team just watched. Nobody's taking action. Nobody's willing to pay the price to stick up for their teammate who's laying there on the ice, hurt, bleeding. This team needs to play for each other. You shouldn't have to tell the team. Their instinct should just react and defend your teammate. Paul C. says the Devils haven't defended each other for years, no beef. And I've been complaining about that, Paul, for a while now. And I was criticized by some fans saying, oh, that's old-time hockey. That doesn't exist in today's NHL. Trust me. It may be not like what it used to be with all the stage stuff and the drama and the soap opera type storylines. But you can't take the emotion out of the game. And that's a problem with me. I have a problem with this because it shows me that they're not playing like a team. Do you blame the coach? Some would say that Lindy's not motivating him enough. We got to can Lindy. Well, sometimes you can't motivate the unmotivated. I mean, I deal with this every day in my everyday life, where you have a lazy coworker, no matter how much you want to tell him or her, trying to motivate them to work, they're still lazy. JP says Lindy's lost the room. Too many distractions for these young millionaires. Lindy's lost the room, JP, I don't agree with, because you don't know that for a fact. Too many distractions for these young millionaires, I do agree with, because I've been on record saying that's my analysis, if you want to call that, or my theory, why they're not playing well at home. I just think they're just too distracted. The marketing team has them doing this. When they're at home, they're doing autograph signings, all that. Where's the focus? Where's the commitment? To tell you the truth, you know what they should do? The Players Association won't agree. I think till March to the end of the season, they should lock these players when they're in New Jersey at home in the hotel room like they are on the road till they can figure it out. John Sumner says, yes, I blame the coach. Awful starts, always coming from behind. Yeah, but you got to start holding the players accountable. Maybe you can blame the coaches that way. Chris says, chemistry is developed over time. You can't coach that. Agreed. But we can agree to disagree. And this is what makes this podcast, the Let's Go Devils podcast, is we take every opinions from you, the fans, good or bad. We will have that hard conversation. But can you say that this team sucks? No, because we know what they're capable of. They just got to put it together. When their goaltending is decent, their defense is bad. When the defense and the goaltending is decent, The offense isn't scoring. They just simply can't put it together. But when they do, the Devils are a very potent team. But now they go to the West Coast. We'll have Game Day Live and Devils After Dark tomorrow. And we'll probably have Devils After Dark an ungodly hour of the night. But we'll have you covered. Scotty is Sirius XM Liquid Metal. I'll be half asleep, but that's okay. I'd be wide awake if the Devils actually win. Because winning solves everything. Winning solves everything. Because if the Devils go on a 5-game heater from here till whenever, they'll be in the playoff mix. Maybe the 8th seed, 7th seed. And maybe possibly build on that. Build some confidence. In other news, Chase Stillman had a hat trick in Utica. See, trying to get some positive news out there. Nolan Foote has been signed to Utica. Get some positive vibes going. It's not all doom and gloom. JP says, need all 6 points. Yeah. It's time to get greedy on the West Coast. It's time to take all the points on the table. It's time to forget what has happened and move forward to game 59, 60, and 61. Like what we talked before, the Timo Meier trade. This is Timo time. This is for Timo Meier to step up. Especially tomorrow when they're playing the Sharks in the Shark Tank. Both teams 4-5-1 in the last 10 games. Timo Meier returning home. We'll get to see some former Devils and prospects and all that tomorrow. 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And then the Devils travel. Can't find it on my phone right now. This NHL app stinks. I got to tell you. They got to do better. NHL. So I can't even, press the darn schedule. They play the Ducks on Friday. And I believe they play the Kings on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Do I have that right, folks? On March 3rd? Yes. 3:30 p.m. afternoon game here on the East Coast. Scotty's going to be loving it. Living it up. Seeing his hometown team coming into L.A. John Sumner says, I might be speaking on behalf of some here, but the frustration, anger stems from 10 years of a rebuild, and last season I expected the team to make the playoffs every year forward. Yeah, I agree, especially when they raise season ticket prices 10% or higher. And we all know where that money's going to. Joshua Harris's mortgage payments to buying the Washington Commanders. We all saw that coming. Chris Boker says, try being a Mets fan. Oh, yeah, I am a New York Mets fan. The frustrating thing about being a New York Mets fan than being a Devils fan right now is being a New York Mets fan, all it takes is one click, and then you see another team in the same area called the New York Yankees do well. But somehow you're still a Mets fan. JP says, I gave up the Mets for Lent about 10 years ago. Opening day, March 28th against the Milwaukee Brewers. New York Mets are already having problems. Senga is taking some plasma platelet-enriched shot to his shoulder. I'm like, here we go again. The same old Mets. You ever see what's that, Family Guy? I think they have those clips. It's New York Mets opening day and the pitch. And the season's over. Anyway. Johnny Dang says, I miss Peluso and McKay right now. Oh, okay. I'm going to also say something as well. And this is more towards Fitzy and the scouting and all that good stuff. The beefalytics. We joke about it on this podcast, but the beefalytics, and this is what John from JCB Architectural was alluding to, because, he gets a lot of crap when he said, the Devils should have signed Mason Geertsen. What? That guy? Well, yeah. He's a role player. He's tough. He'll defend you. He will be loyal to the organization and to his teammates. That if somebody hits Nathan Bastian, Geertsen will be there to kick that other guy's ass. And that's what the Devils really don't have right now. And that's what they're really missing as well. One of those players that will run into a wall for you and do anything for the team. It's the beefalytics. And I think this team and the scouting, I don't want to take anything away from Fitzy and the scouting people and the analytics people. But I think that's one thing they've overlooked overall in this lineup are those type of players. And that's something those analytics don't show, the human element of this game we called ice hockey. The emotional intelligence on the ice. The Devils simply don't have it. Some of the players, they're trying, and they're trying to do something courageous. There's times in the past that you see Jesper Bratt trying to mix it up. You're like, should Jesper Bratt be doing that? Now he's like a $7-8 million guy. That shouldn't be really his role. But I think the Devils need those type of players. I thought Noshik would be one of those guys. Tough guys. And Ronaldo's talking about, that Rempe fight, against the Flyers was crazy good. It's exciting. It puts butts in the seats. It gets fans crazy. It's kind of like NASCAR. The crashes, well, for hockey, it's the fights. Everybody wants to watch a train wreck. It's addicting. But it's probably a dangerous part of the game. With the head injuries, the concussions, the stuff that we know about right now. But it makes us go crazy. Chris Boker says, more frustrated with Fitz. Lindy can't be the only fall guy. Completely agree. There has been injuries, etc., but he left a lot of holes this offseason. We knew we had a goalie problem after the Canes series. Yeah, we also had a beefalytics problem as well. The Canes veteran team, they kind of just put their physical will on the New Jersey Devils. And, I would also blame the NHL scheduling as well. Like Game 7, you're off that high against the biggest rival, New York Rangers, and then suddenly you find yourself in Carolina Game 1. JP says, can't fire the players now, can you? Well, you can send them down or you trade them. But right now is what Fitzy would say. The answer is in the room. The answer is in the room. Look, what the Devils need to do is forget about the past. Go out to this West Coast trip. Start playing Devils hockey. Use your speed. None of this fancy crap. Overpassing. East-west. No. Go north-south. Go hard to the net. Cause havoc. Because that's how you draw penalties and get yourself on the power play. Speaking of the power play, stop playing the perimeter game. Start getting physical in the slot area. Start moving around. Don't be so static and standing around. Good things will happen when you put it on net. If it's blocked, get the puck. Try again. Rinse and repeat. You got to keep shooting the puck. Wife asks, not sure. No outlet passing transition through the neutral zone. Yeah. Good point. They got to get the puck out quicker. They got to make smarter decisions. Use the boards. The boards are your best friend. It's like your third defenseman out there. Use the boards. JP says, we cough up more rebounds than anyone, but can't ever find them. Very true. Look for the rebounds, just like in basketball. Get that rebound. Survey, what Gretzky basically said is, like, if you don't shoot the puck, it's a 0% chance that you're going to score. But, hey, if you shoot it, it's kind of like that in that movie, A Dumb and Dumber, saying that there's a chance. Mary Swanson and Lloyd Christmas, you know that scene? Anyway, that's the only movie I ever remember or I've seen. Scotty's been a movie junkie from day one. Some of the quotes, I have no idea what he's talking about. John Sumner says, I want to see 2 D-men on PP1 and 2 bodies screening the goalie. Yeah, and when we're talking about screening the goalie, there's got to be movement. You can't just stand there. Remember Sean Avery? I mean, this is to the extreme, what he did to Brodeur, the Sean Avery rule. I'm not saying go that extreme, but you just got to make that goalie have to work to see the puck. Any distraction is a good distraction. Well, folks, that's all I really have to say tonight. The negativity in the media, is it really justified? I mean, I'm kind of interested to see what happens when Ryan Novozinski, who wrote that article, echoing the fans saying, fire Lindy. Do you think Lindy Ruff is going to answer his questions now? If Lindy's professional and keeps his cool, that's great. But I'm kind of interested to see the pressers and Novozinski, good friend of the podcast, actually ask a question, what the response is going to be. But I hope Lindy just, takes it with a grain of salt and just answers the question. John Tortorella, and the Larry Brooks. That Larry Brooks, clips that we see on YouTube, always get a good chuckle at. Johnny Dangs has said, if we lose the next 3 to 4 games in a row, could Lindy be fired at the end of the season? Well, I think he could be fired at the end of the season. I don't think they're going to fire him mid-season. Chris Wu, to be fair, watched the Brat Pack cast. It was very good. I didn't watch it. I actually listened to it. I actually did listen to it, actually, before we prepared for the Sunday edition of the podcast. Yeah, it was like 8 o'clock. We were at 9, so I had it on. Getting different perspectives. I like to listen to different perspectives of things. It's not like my opinion is the end-all, be-all. But, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was good, but, you know, when you see what bothered me is not even Novozinski's article. What really bothered me was NJ.com had a graphic that says Fire Lindy on their Facebook page. And to me, it's like, is that really necessary? Are you that desperate to get hits or views or subscribers? You know. So, you know, that was the thing that kind of bothered me. Because at the end of the day, Lindy Ruff's a human being. He's trying his best and doing his job. It's not like Lindy did anything to the fans, like he's being a jerk or whatever. He's trying to do the right thing. And, you know, I'm kind of like with Nick Villano. Like, I would never call for anybody's jobs. But, I mean, how would you feel if you're at work and someone's like, you know, fire, blah, blah, blah? I know it's different, but, you know, it's just something again, it's just like, what was the point of that? You know, what was your goal of creating that graphic, NJ.com? Fire Lindy! We all know what the goal is, to get more subscribers, because it's behind a paywall. Novozinski's, Steve Polito, great writers, but let the writing do the talking, not like these infographics trying to get you to click, click, click. I know it's like in today's world, but this is NJ.com here. Like, I wouldn't expect it from a reputable Star Ledger, Newark Star Ledger, NJ.com. But, again, that's just my opinion. I could have done without that. The article itself is fine. I don't have a problem with that. Anyway, so that's my opinion. Rocco De Palma says, I hope he doesn't get fired. I agree. But something needs to change to get this team on track. Yeah, you know, I thought about that movie Miracle when Herb Brooks, when he called, I forgot who on the team, Candy Ass, and then he got all like, you want me to play? You want me to play on one leg? But that, you know, we need to see a pissed off Jack Hughes. It's great when he's motivated. Yeah, I like Survey's approach. Hey, let me in the locker room. I'll rip everybody a new one. They'll be like, who the hell is this guy? This guy's just a podcaster, a Devils fan. But all right, we're gonna get out of here. I want to thank all those tuning in to the Woo Report, dropping the podcast at midnight. You can find our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music Prime, Audible, the iHeart app, also Facebook at Let's Get All's Podcast, X or Twitter at Primetime Sam Wu is my Twitter handle, but at Let's Get All's Pod. Also on YouTube channel Let's Go Devils. And on Twitch at Let's Go Devils Podcast. I don't think you need to bring in bigger guys to bring in beef. It's more of an attitude thing, and this team doesn't have the attitude. It's just my opinion. I agree. They don't have the killer instinct. Going for the jugular. Finishing off their opponents. I mean, heck, they can't even get the first goal. But that could change in an instant. But what is it? What is it is going to make them change? One thing about the New Jersey Devils, these cardiac kids, these comeback kids, is what we were calling them in the last year and a half. They need to be their backs to the walls before they start really performing. And maybe being 6 points out of a playoff spot and losing at home and getting humiliated by the Rangers and the Capitals, and let's just say the Tampa Bay Lightning, not good. Michael Scala, thank you for the super chat. Thanks for the therapy again. Hey, this is just not therapy session here. This is Devils Hockey Talk here on the Let's Go Devils podcast. Woo Report. Podcasting every day, or nearly every day. But thank you. Till next time, this is the Woo Report. Let's go Devils.